All right, Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory is to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I also want to say Shalom to you brothers out there that's laboring in his work and continue to push out this gospel in all diligence, truth, faith, and sincerity. So yeah, I just wanted to go into a quick lesson concerning the true nature of our Lord Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shah, and the fact that they are warriors, all right, contrary to popular belief. And the Lord is actually going to receive his glory from all the death and destruction that he's going to bring to the inhabitants of the planet Earth, primarily here on the soils of America. All right? So I just want to jump right into it. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 63 and verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Right, and when you go into the history of Basra, that was actually a capital city in the land of Edom. The modern day Basra would be considered America. All right. So the scriptures say, who is this that come from Edom with dyed garments? And that would be Yahweh Shah. And those dyed garments represent all the blood and killing that he's going to do here in America. All right. It says this that is glorious in his apparel. Right. So this is the way the Lord is going to receive his glory, man. By bringing destruction, by being a valiant warrior. All right. It says traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So yeah, when the Lord returns, it's going to be a balance. The Lord is going to bring destruction, which is going to bring salvation. You know, you can't receive salvation without destruction. So pretty much destruction and salvation goes hand in hand. Verse 2, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thine garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. Right, because if you know anything about treading out grapes, in the ancient world, they would stomp the grapes out to the point where the grapes or the grape juice would be saturated all over their garments. So this is pretty much a parable, all right, that the Lord garments is going to be drenched with the blood of all you people out here, man. Verse 3, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. Yeah, pretty much meaning that the Lord is taking responsibility for this, man. You know, like you have terrorist attacks in the so-called terrorists, they'll claim responsibility for the attack. Well, that's what the Lord's saying here, man. It says, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. So for all you people out there that believe that the Lord is geared toward one emotion, and that's just love, peace, and mercy, well, it's the Lord claiming responsibility. He's telling you, you know, all the blood that's going to be spilled here in America is going to be by his hands. All right? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. Right, so the Lord is giving you a visual, if you will, of a symbolic, you know, outlook on how he's going to be responsible for all the blood that's going to take place here, man. All right? The Lord is going to return as a valiant warrior that's going to be victorious over his enemies, man, strong with the so-called white man. All right? Verse 4, for the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. Right? So the Lord, this thought is burning in the heart of the Lord, man. The Lord can't wait to come back and bring vengeance on his enemies. All right? And amongst our people, you know, they've been in America too long. All right. Pretty much being a warrior, you know, that's a part of our custom, man. When you go into the history, all right, if you know anything about the book of Maccabees, you read the story about Eleazar, who looked to gain a perpetual name for himself. Well, how did he look to gain a perpetual name for himself? By going and slaying the king. All right. But amongst our people, we've been under the vibration of the so-called white man, which is a homosexual by nature, all right? And we've been under that effeminate spirit that's pumped out here in America, and you have lost your edge, man. When you go back to the ancient world, you know, our people or the men of our nation, they received a glory from being warriors, man, all right? And I got an example of that in the scriptures. This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 18 and starting at verse 6. And it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines with joy and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul have slain his thousands and David his 10,000s. Right. So pretty much the women came out to meet all the men of our nation when they returned back from war. And they pretty much was chanting. All right. And they was saying Saul slayed his thousands, but David his 10,000s, meaning they was giving glory to David. David received glory. For what? For slaying 10,000s of men, man. So how much more the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Yahweh Shah, whom you peep out that ignorantly called Jesus Christ. He's going to receive his glory from bringing judgment on the planet Earth. All right? This is the way the Lord is going to receive glory and honor, man. By returning as a valiant warrior who's going to be victorious over his enemies, man. Who's going to shed the blood of all those who are opposed of his reign, man, and his rulership. All right? This is the book of Isaiah. The book of Isaiah, the second chapter. In the 10th verse. In the 11th verse, Salakia. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. Right. And how is the Lord going to be exalted? How is he going to be honored? For being a valiant warrior, man. For taking down his enemies, man. For shedding the blood of the so-called white man and all the inhabitants of the planet Earth. Everybody outside of that righteous number that's reserved to be delivered, man. The Lord is not going to come back, you know, in a fashion where people is going to be happy to see him. That's why it tells you that in Amos, the 5th chapter. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord, for what end is it for you? All right? This is the book of Revelation, the 1st chapter. In the 7th verse, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, right? And those who pierced him was of the Romans. You know, if you know anything about the story of the crucifixion, you had those Roman soldiers to pierce his side. So the scriptures make note, all right, of mentioning that, because the Lord have them have a special death for those guys. By the way, that proves reincarnation. Those same men that pierced his side, they're going to see him return. So it says, behold, he cometh with clouds, all right, and those clouds is heaven's armies, which the world knows as UFOs. And every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen, or so be it, right? So it say the kindreds or the inhabitants of the earth is going to wail because of the Lord, man. They didn't say they're going to be happy and they're going to be welcoming him with open arms. No, they're going to wail because of his return, meaning the Lord is going to come by bringing judgment, man. All right? This is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, and starting at the 13th verse. Starting at the 3rd verse, Salakia. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. Right, so that's dealing with Yahweh Shai when he returned. He's going to come with the thousands of heavens, all right? Those so-called UFOs, heaven's armies, all right? And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Right, so all the people going to tremble when the Lord come back, man. All right? And wheresoever the voice that went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. Right, so the Lord is going to be actually shooting out concentrated fire, man, what the so-called white man deem as laser beams, man. That's how the Lord is returning, man. So again, it says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. Meaning the Lord, he's going to be shooting out laser beams, man. All right? From his mouth, meaning from the ships. And it actually tells you that in Revelation 1 and 16. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. Right. So the Lord is coming back as a warrior, man. Okay? Contrary to what you people out there believe, you so-called Christians, you grape juice drinkers, those who claim to build your foundation off of the scriptures. Well, I got news for you, man. When the Lord returns, he's going to receive his glory by bringing death and destruction. All right? This is the book of Psalms, chapter 118, in verse, I start at verse 15. The voice of rejoicing and salvation is in the tabernacles of the righteousness. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. Right, and who is the right hand of the Lord? Yahweh Shah. The right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. Right, and valiantly means being a valiant warrior, man. All right? This is the way the Lord is going to receive his glory, by coming back as a valiant warrior, man, and bringing judgment on his enemies. All right? And that's why the scriptures tell you in Zephaniah the 3rd chapter, wait ye upon the Lord, man. And that's the spirit you got to be in, okay? You got to have patience and wait, because the Lord is going to bring a type of judgment that you couldn't even fathom, man. You know, in our mind, you know, we try to think of ways, you know, the scriptures tell you, you know, that for your heart to meditate terror, but the things that we think of can't compare to the judgment that the Lord is going to bring. That's why the scriptures say, wait on the Lord, because he's the warrior, man. It tells you that in Exodus, the 15th chapter, in the 3rd verse. The Lord is a man of war. All right? This is Songs of Solomon, chapter 3, and verse 7. Or I start at verse 5. I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hens of the field, that ye stir not up, nor wake my love till he please. Meaning, you know, don't force the hand of the Lord. You know, don't tempt the Lord. Just be patient and wait on him. You know, don't wake up the Lord, man. Verse 6, who is that cometh out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all powders of the merchant? Behold his bed, which is Solomon's. 80 valiant men are about it, of the valiant of Israel. They all hold swords, being experts in war. Every man have his sword upon his thigh, because of the fear in the night. And that's symbolic to when the Lord return with those so-called UFOs. All right? The scripture said they're going to all have their sword by their thigh, meaning they're going to be coming in the spirit of war. So when the day that the Lord cracked those skies, and the skies is covered with the chariots of the Most High, all right, heaven's armies, then the Lord is coming to wage war on the so-called white man and the 2/3 of our people, all those who subscribe to this system and the belief system of the so-called white man. You have turned your back on your nationality. You know, here it is, the men of the Lord telling you, you Israelites, and you dismiss it and you cast it behind you. Well, the Lord is coming to bring judgment, man. And this is the way the Lord is going to receive his glory. So, yeah, hope there was an edifying lesson. Until the next time I say, Shalom.